Arguably the greatest tennis player of all time, Richard Alonzo Gonzalez, known to the world as Pancho, was one of the first Latino superstar athletes in the world. He was the world's best player for 10 straight years, and the only player to be inducted into the Tennis Hall of Fame while still an active player.
On my left, Mr. Pancho Gonzalez.
Like Babe Ruth, Muhammad Ali, and Jackie Robinson, Pancho revolutionized his sport. It was hard to break his serve. But it was impossible to break his warrior spirit.
So a tremendous scene here on the centre court after a match that will certainly go down into history as one of the greatest matches of all time, and surely that must be one of the greatest sporting performances ever.
I would watch Gonzalez play, he'd mesmerize you. It'd be like looking into the flame of a fire. You know, you couldn't take your eyes off of it because you never knew what he would do next.
He was not a pushover. He had a great personality. He could be fun. You didn't want to mess with him.
Gonzalez' game is more complete than the present game.
I wouldn't look forward to playing him.
Whether it's a color barrier or a class barrier that was broken, Richard Pancho Gonzalez broke that barrier.
As a role model, he plays a tremendous position in the understanding of a culture that was relatively and still is relatively unknown in the United States of America, and that's the Latino culture.
We admire Pancho because he was able to always make a positive out of it.
When you come from maybe not the top, you start to work a little harder. Those are probably values that we share.
Everybody either hated or loved Gonzalez, and if they hated him, they hated him with their zeal. And if they loved him, he was their boy, their favorite.
For 3 weeks, I had to do nothing but follow Pancho and apologize to people he irritated. That was my job. I mean, I'm going down 20 feet behind him going, he's just having a bad day. Well, I did that in every city.
He always had that fighting spirit, the likes of which I've never seen before, or since.
What you can grab out of the history and the way these guys played and their attitude towards the game and building the game and what it took to make the game better from generation to generation, and then to have it topped off with a Pancho Gonzalez, I mean, how do you thank somebody for that?
I just happen to think he had an incredible game, and it was very deceptive. It was graceful and it was powerful, but you couldn't see much of it coming, and he just had such natural instincts and ability, but overall, there was grace, and it just got me.
Being around a champion is you sort of watch his ways, you watch the way he thinks. He's a tremendous perfectionist who enjoyed sort of life on his terms.
And he's so knowledgeable about tennis. And I recall when I was playing my first U.S. Open and I lost the first set. It was tough for me, and I was young, I didn't know what to do. But I managed to come back and win that match. And he really said some really enlightening things for me after that match. Just proclaimed how good I would be, and that's always nice to hear.
Well, I think it's great that, Pancho, opened up a lot of doors for the inner city kids. It's a great legend, and I think the legend will always live on.
I've never, ever regretted having been married to him, no. And I think, in my opinion, I don't think he was just a great tennis player. I think he was a great athlete. I really do. And I think he did a lot for our race.
It's one thing to master it, but it's another thing to be the genius in it. And he was a genius of the game. There's no doubt about it. He could play it better than anyone's ever played it.
Richard dominated the game as the best player in the world from 1952 to 1961, and he was ranked in the top 10 from 1948 to 1969. An amazing 21 years.
I would have think that he'd have probably had more Grand Slam events than Pete Sampras, who apparently has the record at maybe it's 13 or 14.
It was Gonzalez who really epitomized what tennis should be. This man is supernatural. He's Superman.
No, he was like a panther out there. I don't think you've thought of him as being tall, but he was lithe. would uncoil, he'd spring at you.
One person to play for my life, it would be Pancho Gonzalez. And I kind of relish my life, you know, so I mean, I want to put it in the hands of the one person who was going to go out, win or lose, was going to give you your money's worth, you know, and fight the battle the way it should be.
A quarter century on the world stage, this inner city kid took tennis from behind closed walls and brought it out to the street. According to sports writer Dick Schaap, when Richard Alonzo Gonzalez stretches to the top of his toes, whips his right arm high in the air, and serves a tennis ball at 120 miles an hour, he's doing more than simply powering the swiftest shot in tennis history. He's swinging at every Southern Californian who ever called a kid Pancho, flailing at every tennis official who ever barred a youngster from a tournament, and whacking at every father who ever ordered his daughter to stop dating the kid from the wrong side of the tracks. They wanted him to play their game, but in the end, he made them play his game.